My name is Evans Momanyi. I'm a quality assurance officer working at Kenya Bureau of Standards, currently based in Mount Kenya region, Nyeri office. I joined KEBS in 2019 and I can say the journey has been very, very good. My day at Kenya Bureau of Standards starts at 8. So my main responsibility is ensuring that goods that are manufactured in Mount Kenya region are meeting quality standards that are laid down in Kenya. The client walks through our office. The client is taken through the certification process. Then the client pays. After payment, the process starts. So the client is supposed to be visited within 15 working days. The client is contacted by one of our officers to inform the client or arrange with the client on the best date the client is available for inspection. So during inspection, samples are picked. The samples, once they are picked, they are sent for testing against a specified product standard based on the type of the product. Then after the product are sent to the labs, we wait for the results. The results take at least 2 to 3 weeks to come out. So once the results are out, I as an officer am the one to determine whether are the results complying with the set standard or they are not complying. If the results are complying with the standard, we do a justification to Permit Certification Committee, which is based in Nairobi, informing them that this client has applied, the product has been tested and it has met the requirements. Please issue them with a permit. After the permit is issued, the permit is sent here. Then we contact the client. He's the one who is guiding us how they want to receive the permit. Either they want to collect it from our office or we send it to them via a courier. Additionally, if the products fail, I inform the client that the samples that I collected from a factory on this date were sent to our labs. The sample failed to comply with this type of specification. I inform the client in writing. We arrange with the client. After the client have taken a corrective action on the parameter that failed to comply, I arrange with the client. I do another sampling to test on this parameter that failed. We have a database for quality assurance. We have a database that has all the list of permits that we have issued all over Kenya. So that's the database that we use to either to monitor whether the permit is still valid or has expired. I wish Wanjiku could know that whenever they are outside there, whatever they are eating, there are men and women out here at Kenya Bureau of Standards who are committed to ensuring that whatever they are eating outside there is very safe, either to their health and on the environment. I am very proud. I am very proud to be associated with this organization that values quality, customer satisfaction, and the commitment of KEBS towards achieving this, the core that I've mentioned is commendable. My name is Evans Momanyi and I'm proudly KEBS.
Good afternoon, good evening, thank you and welcome. This is Kenya Bureau of Standards. My name is Dennis and this is Ask KEBS. It's good to have you and asante sana for watching this episode. The hashtag is Ask KEBS. Today we are so excited that you have made time to join this episode. Asante sana. If you're watching us from Facebook, if you're watching us from Twitter, ama inaitwa X, yes, X. If you're watching us from X and if you're watching us from YouTube, karibu sana. This is Kenya Bureau of Standards. The hashtag is Ask KEBS. This episode is all about questions. Najua mko na maswali. You have any questions that you would like to ask or talk to Kenya Bureau of Standards, this episode is here for you. Uliza maswali. We are here to answer them and make sure that by the time this episode inaisha, uko na majibu about KEBS services. So this episode is a very amazing one. I'll be having a very amazing guest who will be telling us more about the field of testing. We have had different episodes before. We've talked about market surveillance. We've talked about metrology. We have talked about the certification body. We have talked about even the quality assurance process. So this episode is going to be about the testing. Unajua products zenye una consume pale nyumbani lazima zipimwe. lazima ziangaliwe kama zimefika kiwango. So today we'll be talking about how does that happen? What really goes on behind the scenes when our team or the KEBS officers have come to your office or your farm to collect samples? Where do they take them? How does the process of all that testing go about? And that is what we shall be talking about. The hashtag is AskKEBS. So uliza maswali. Use the comment section and make sure you're following Kenya Bureau of Standards across all our social media platforms. Our website is www.kebs.org. So now, to help us break down this episode and to help us break down this whole affair about testing, we are joined by our amazing guest who will be telling us more about what really happens in the world of testing. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Dennis. Good afternoon. My name is Tabitha Oro. Excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you here today.
So I work in the testing laboratories at Kenya Bureau of Standards, specifically Inorganic Laboratory. But today we'll try and break down and demystify what testing services is.
What testing services is. But you said you were in inorganic.
Inorganic laboratory.
So is there a difference between organic and inorganic?
Yes, there's a very big difference. In simple terms, organic deals with organic parameters, those structures people used to draw in school, you know, benzene, the ring, and all those products that have the carbon and oxygen bond are tested in organic. Then all other inorganic contaminants now, we are handled here in the inorganic chemistry laboratory.
Okay, that's amazing. But leo unatuambia about the entire testing. And what exactly happens, so that watu wenye wana watch the episode leo, they can be able to tell and see that KEBS really does something behind the scenes. Okay, sawa sawa. So tuanzie from where it all begins. Tell us about then when you say you want to start with testing. What is testing then?
Okay. Testing is examination of products. Let me take you through your day, Dennis.
Please.
For example, when you wake up in the morning, the water you drink, the toothbrush you use to brush your teeth, the toothpaste, all of them, they need to be tested or checked to ensure they are safe and they're of good quality. You don't want to be brushing your teeth and then the brush breaks. You don't want to be drinking water and then now you are sick. It has some microbial contaminants. After you've brushed your teeth, of course you have breakfast. So the tea, the coffee, the cereals, the bread, everything is being checked to ensure that they are safe for human consumption. What we do is we have like a standard, some sort of rule book. So every product in Kenya has a rule book of a set of criteria they need to meet to ensure that at least as a bare minimum, they meet a certain threshold.
Wait, when you say a rule book, I can imagine now you've gone to the breakfast part. A baked bread. You want to tell me that bread itself has how it is supposed to be? Si mkate ni mkate.
Mkate ni mkate, lakini now what you're using to bake the bread now in your context, the flour, the sugar, because KEBS focuses a lot on the final product. So the things you mix also to the bowl you're using to mix the flour to ensure you make the bread. Even the oven, it's an electrical appliance. It needs to go through some safety and performance testing to ensure it does not, for example, cause shock. So so the final product. So even when you walk into a supermarket, there are those breads that now have already been baked. So that it's a final product. They need to come here and we check whether that bread is actually safe for human consumption.
Now, when you've talked about bread that is in the supermarket, I'm actually happy we are talking about bread. I love bread a lot. So this bread that is in the supermarket, does it every time that before nione pale kwa shelf ya supermarket, all of those loaves have passed through KEBS?
Not entirely.
Hata hiyo maji.
Hata hiyo maji. What happens, we have another department that's in charge of sampling.
Okay.
So that the ones who go out to actually inspect. At the beginning, I heard you talking about quality assurance. So I believe the audience is aware about the quality assurance process. So what comes to the lab is now what they've taken from the factory or wherever this bread is baked. So they bring us now the finished product and now we confirm that they meet the rule book. In the rule book here being the standard.
The standard. So these are samples.
These are samples.
So the bread, in casing point, the bread, it is bread that has been sampled from a bakery that is brought to the labs as samples.
As a sample.
And then now is when you're testing.
Now we test it and confirm that now that bread, the sample we have received,
yes,
is actually good for consumption.
Okay.
Yes.
So now umeturudisha mpaka tukafika kwa breakfast.
Tukafika kwa and we are talking about the whole day. So after you finish your breakfast, then is how do you get to work, for example?
We'll use a matatu, commute, gari. If you're driving, you have fuel. How does that work?
Yes, so you use your car, those electrical components in the car, the fuel you're using in the car, any gas. Now we are talking about hybrid cars,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes.
So either electric or gas or petroleum products. So all of those products have been tested to ensure they are safe. You do not want to be using a vehicle and then it stops, for example, for whatever fault.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So most of those components have been tested.
It actually is also part of testing.
Yes, you see, like now in Kenya Bureau of Standards, we have two sections. We have the biology and microbiology section, which deals with the food and food products. But we also have the materials section, which does now the performance and quality tests for all these other products. So, for example, when you look at the environment, the construction materials from cement to roofing sheets, you find that they're all tested in the material section of the testing department.
So testing is that broad?
Very good.
Unajua umetuanzia pale kwa chakula, chai, maji.
We are going through the day.
And probably now I would imagine that's what is being tested. So even the roofings.
Even the roofing sheet, even the building blocks, the concrete, all of them.
For as long as it is called a product.
It's a product.
Yes.
It is tested in KEBS.
In KEBS.
Yes.
And there is a rule book.
There is a rule book for all the products, the standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's amazing to hear. So okay, so now this standard is what now defines what shall be tested.
What shall be tested and the requirements. By requirements I mean, what is this criteria? This water that you're drinking, how much algae, how much E. coli should it contain? Yeah, so those are the things that make you sick.
Maji.
Maji, yes.
So umeanza E. coli, algae.
Hizo ni microbial contaminants.
Sasa maji ile yenye nikifungulia tap leo and I consume has all those elements in them.
Yes, it has all those elements with them. And the beauty now with the tap water, we have Nairobi, now in the people who are in Nairobi, you have Nairobi Water who is supplying.
Yes.
So the Nairobi Water have their own laboratory, which they do the testing to ensure that that water is actually safe for human consumption.
Oh, they also do that?
They also do that.
So there is also testing as well?
There's also testing as well.
Amazing. I hope I hope wale watu wenye walikuwa wanauliza, how does it work? You know, that was the first question actually when we started this episode. Is KEBS receiving every loaf of bread and then testing?
Okay.
Now we understand that it's something called sampling. Kwamba, they will call to the farm, collect samples, and now it's how it will get to you, and now you're testing.
Then we test
as a sample.
Yes, as a sample.
So wewe ukiletewa mkate, you will not say ni mkate ya XYZ company you're testing. How does that work?
You see, we also need to protect the integrity of our process. Impartiality is one of the key issues. So we don't want to be seen like favoring factory A over B. Yeah. So when it comes, it is just brought so that we can be able to analyze objectively. Yeah.
So I probably then would like you to tell us, how does it then get to your desk for testing? Is there a process? Any person who is probably manufacturing a loaf of bread then can contact your office and say, nataka unipimie hii mkate.
Okay.
How does that work?
So the testing process, it begins at the sample control center. So for example, when you come into any KEBS office which has a testing laboratory, we have a section which is called sample control center. So they are customer facing, they are our first contact point. They are the barrier between the testing itself, the laboratory, like the setup we are in now, and the customer.
So hapo ndio mimi kama mwenye niko na mkate nitaenda.
Wewe kama Dennis na mkate yako utapeleka sample control. Hao ndio wanakujua, hao ndio watakureceive, hao ndio watakuexplainia hii mkate, this is now our rule book na hii ndio tuna test. Na pia ukirudi kuchukua test report, or even if they send you, they can give you now, this is the test report na hivi ndio imeperform.
So at sample control center is where the journey of you testing begins.
Yes.
And you said you do not, probably you will not find it on your desk, branded XYZ company ama imeandikwa hii ni XYZ, pima, toa results ya XYZ, toa results ya ama
not really, because now the sample control center kuko na what we call a form, which they fill for all the products that they receive. So this form is which accompanies the sample. So the sample is uniquely identified. We call them sample numbers.
Sample numbers.
Yeah, so each product will be labeled with a sample number, and that is how it will be maintained throughout the laboratory process. So from receipt, then they know every other details. But now once it comes to the lab, in the lab we know this Maji as BS number, this sample identity, this.
So the bread XYZ to you is not bread XYZ, it's sample number.
It is sample number this.
Okay, so wewe utapewa tu sample number this, inafaa kupimwa
pia. Unajua for example, product certification, we have a variety of clients. We have the walk-in clients who we call their private. We have our own internal clients here from the quality assurance department for product certification and the rest. So for example, if it's for product certification, they want to check whether this product actually meets all the quality parameters listed in the standard. A walk-in customer may only be interested in one parameter. So that's why we have the form, so that we can see what has this customer requested, and can we be able to do it, and now we do what they have requested.
So the answer whether you can be able to do you'll not be the one who will be saying itapeanwa pale kwa sample control ama?
Inapeanwa hapo, but they consult the lab in some instances.
Okay, so now the sample has arrived at sample control. Imepatiwa sample number.
Imepewa sample number.
So then what happens to it? Tufuate hii mkate yangu. Mimi kwanza nataka tufuate hii mkate yangu.
Mkate yako. Okay. Sasa hii mkate yako ikifika sample control imepewa number. So tuko na watu wenye wanaleta samples kwa lab. So wanaleta na inakuwa received. Tuko na system yenye tuna login sample, tuna check pia, of course tuna confirm. One of the key issues is confirming the integrity of the sample. You know, a lot of things happen during transport. So sample imefika intact. Are there any breakages in the seal? Kuna mahali imetoboka, because all those are sources of contamination. So you may end up condemning a product imeharibika, kumbe by the time hata ilikuwa inafika kwa lab ilikuwa imeshapata hizo. So some of these things you need to record. Unaiangalia ikifika
kwa macho tu.
Si ukiona mold, unaonanga hata wewe mkate kimea mold. Niliona Twitter juzi wakisema kuna mkate zingine haziozi. You can be able to tell mkate yako iko na mold.
Okay, so that's visual now.
That is visual. That's to check that at least now it means the bare minimum to go through the testing process. So it's at that point whether we can accept or reject or say that hii tukireceive itanguka ABCD.
So have you ever been in a position where you have rejected or said such in samples?
Yes, it happens a lot. It depends on the nature of the sample. You know, our test reports are used for decision making. So as much as I admit we give the result to the customer, but those who do follow up, if you have photographic evidence, if you have that evidence you recorded somewhere that hii tukipata ilikuwa hivi na hivi, it can be able to inform them that yes, in the further decisions, this one by the time ilikuwa inafika hapa ilikuwa baya. So do they need to resample? Do they need to do some treatment? Do they, so and bring it again for testing.
Okay, so now you have accepted and you have seen it was not broken, the seal was okay, iko sawa. Tuendelee na mkate yangu haijafinywa. So
okay, mkate yako iko sawa. So mkate inakuwa tested in 2 laboratories when it comes to testing, the food laboratory and the microbiology laboratory. So hii rule book yetu pia iko na criteria for microbes and the contaminations. Now food wana check quality and other contaminants, the quality parameters and other contaminants.
Okay. And now iende sasa tena another lab.
Sasa wakileta mkate wanaleta sufficient enough for both labs.
Oh, so the samples that were brought to you are sufficient to go to
both labs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the results will come out for the 2 labs.
For the 2 labs.
Yes. Amazing. So but that's okay. Wacha tuachane na hii mkate kidogo. Turudi kwa vitu kama maji. Same case. Maji upitia process inakaa aje?
The same. Maji. When you talk about the testing process in KEBS, it's the same. Utaleta maji yako sample control. Ipewe number. Ilete sasa inorganic lab.
Wow.
Inorganic waiangalie, sawa. Kuna maji kama, for example, the effluent, because we do environmental monitoring sometimes, so you need to check that. You need to ensure, for example, something we call BOD. Hii sample ikikuja lazima iko at certain storage conditions. Otherwise, ukiacha, it will compromise the final results.
Okay, na mafuta pia, same case.
Mafuta gani?
Kuna ya kujipaka. Okay, tu hata hiyo ya kujipaka pia.
Mafuta, the same process. Inakuja, and it goes to the different labs. Because this is a broad field, as I told you. KEBS iko na materials na iko na biochemistry, and me as a chemist may not have the underlying principles for microbiology or maybe even food chemistry. So that's why you see we have the separate labs. Kila mtu deal na speciality yake, subject matter. So kama ni maji iletwe kwenye experts wako ndo waihandle. Hivyo. So sample control of course is the central, but now they dispatch it to the appropriate lab.
So the dispatch process ndio watadetermine inaenda wapi. I hope mwenye ulikuwa na maswali sasa tunafuata. So tumeshajua kwamba sample ikifika KEBS, it will not probably arrive at the lab directly, ama if you are a private customer, you will not be the one to bring your sample to Tabitha Orwa's office. It will actually start at sample control center. And this process is actually to make sure that umesema kitu inaitwa
impartiality.
Yes.
Tusibague customer.
Tusiseme hii mkate mimi naijua na naipenda.
Hii customer ni Deno ni rafiki yangu, so Deno acha hii sample yake ipite ama ianguke, you know.
So that is what happens at sample control. So we will give it the number.
So mostly the number, and of course discussing with the customer. It's our like tuna agree na wewe. Umeleta hii sample, hii ndio unataka. Hii tunaweza kufanya, hii hatuwezi fanya.
Okay.
So then kama kuna kulipa, of course there are some testing charges involved for the different parameters. So you do your payment, all that is done there. Then sasa ile kazi ngumu sasa
iko hapa. Okay, that's amazing. I hope mnafuata, and I hope we have now at least understood how Kenya Bureau of Standards, or the team that is doing testing for products, really finds its way with the products that you will be able to be at the end of it all consume. Kwamba imeshapitishwa ama imeshaconfirmiwa to meet the rule book. And when she's talking about the rule book, she's talking about the standard. Yes, the standard. So that is amazing. I am so excited to know that kumbe hii process inakuaga very controlled. Si kila mtu ataamka tu aseme napeleka sample kwa lab na nataka iende itestiwe na fulani.
Haitakuja directly kwa lab, lazima utapitia sample control.
Okay, now you have accepted the sample. Now what happens at this point?
Okay, once the sample is received in the lab, of course, it is logged in our lab registers, allocated to an analyst. Then the analyst now checks what was requested and now proceeds with the testing. So at KEBS, we have testing equipment for the different parameters. So for example, if we want to test your bread, we want to test the ash content or moisture. Iko na maji mingi. Unajua maji ndio ina contribute to, for example, the microbial contamination, because it is creating an environment for such a growth. So now we want to test moisture. Is the equipment ready? The equipment you're going to do for moisture. How do we need to prepare this sample? Because hii mkate ikikuja, hatutaiweka tu hivyo kwa hiyo gadget yenye it has to go through some sample preparation process. Pengine ikatwe wa mill tena. Into such a surface yenye hata moisture ikifanywa, it minimizes the error of the result. So the sample is prepared, if inserted in the equipment inakupea result. There are some instances where you need to do calculations. Machine imekupatia hii result. Machine imekupea hii result, but you need to use a formula to determine the final result. So all those processes happen in the in the lab.
So that is how it actually now. So we may assign, say, assuming an analyst has been assigned the sample to go. They have prepared it. They have determined that they need to either grind or do whatever to prepare that sample.
Yes.
And now it is ready for testing. And now akienda kutest, atafungua ile standard bado.
Lazima fuatana na standard. Okay, standard ni kuna rule books mbili. Kuna rule book ya product. Kama ni moisture inafaa kuwa hivi.
Yes.
But kuna method of testing. For example, moisture, how should it be done?
Oh, that is not in the standards, so it's defined elsewhere.
It depends on now mwenye alitengeneza standards. Kuna wale wanaweka pamoja, kuna wale wanakurefer now to the another method, which could be another standard.
Okay.
Which documents procedure yenye unafaa kufuata to do a certain test.
That's amazing. I hope tumeelewa kwamba Kenya Bureau of Standards has all their procedures guided.
Yes.
So when you're doing a process, it's not as much as you're an expert, you're a chemist, you know what or how things should be. You will follow a certain procedure.
Lazima ufuate procedure.
The rule book.
The rule book.
And the standards.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, keep those questions coming. Ask us these questions. The episode is called Ask KEBS. The hashtag is Ask KEBS if you're watching us. This is Ask KEBS. Today we are talking about the testing processes. We have been privileged to have an expert in the field of testing. Her name is Tabitha. And thank you so much for gracing this episode. Tunafurahia sana kulan. Unajua, tunauliza maswali lakini saa zingine until we sit with people like you so that you tell us more about what really happens. Okay, now the product has arrived at the desk. You have been guided enough to get the what you need to, or how you even need to test it.
Yes.
You have gotten your results. Is this the final point of this sample? Safari imeishia hapo?
Safari bado ijaisha. Customer hajapata result yake. So nimekuambia after the processing of the data umepata final result.
Yes.
So tuko na system yenye tunatumia for reporting now.
Okay.
So huyo mwenye alikuwa allocated akimaliza hiyo process yote anaweka results sasa kwa system. Mtu mwingine anamwangalilia na the head of lab pia ana approve. Kwa
nini mtu mwingine amwangalilie? Si yeye ni experts na si alitest?
Ametest ndio, but we are human beings and we are also complying to another rule book.
Okay, there is procedures for everything.
Yeah. In this case, the labs are accredited to ISO 17025.
Our labs?
The labs, yeah. So the ISO 17025 process requires a 3-step authentication process, just like kama phone, hutaki kuibiwa simu. So in this case, the 3 steps just to ensure that your result, vile alifanya amecalculate vizuri.
Yes.
Ameitransfer vizuri juu, of course alirecord kwa workbook, imefika, ameitransfer vizuri kwa system. And yes, and such things.
Wow. So kumbe hii safari haijaisha. Haya, huyu mtu ameauthenticate the 3-step process. We have confirmed that they needed to what was supposed to be done has been done. Now we have results that have been approved by the head of the lab.
Yes.
And now these results are what will get to the customer?
Yes. Now these results in the system, they can be able to access. So our internal customers have a portal that is known as the result point.
Yes.
So there they can be able to receive, access the PDF versions of their test reports.
Yes.
Then our private clients, the sample control again, can either dispatch the soft or the hard copy depending on, unajua customers ni tofauti. Kuna wale wameenda digital, kuna wale bado wanapenda akaik kama inaifangaje?
Akuwe na karatasi
aione.
Aone hizi results.
Kuna Wakenya wengine bado wana believe ile karatasi akiona ndio authentic. I believe hizi digital issues.
Ukimtumia PDF anasema
hapana, hii imechorwa mahali.
Okay. So these results will be issued to the customer either through those mediums.
Yes.
Okay. So naona pia maswali zinaendelea kukuja. Thank you. Thank you so much Rose for watching. Rose Chesoli anasema good work Tabitha. Michael Nyango is saying a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for watching. Naona Nesto is also here and Kiptum Ruto wako na maswali. Huyu ameuliza, how can I know that a product in the market has been tested, verified and allowed to be in supply? Is there a code that one can send on the KEBS logo on every product? Kunayo?
Deno kunayo na hiyo swali unaweza jibu.
Hiyo ni quality assurance. Okay, sawa. So Nesto, we will answer this question actually as this episode goes, because I know that is actually you said results are used to inform a decision.
A decision, yes.
So the decision is whether to issue a mark or not. Okay, sawa. Naona Joseph Okello, he said, I was once challenged by a panel during an interview on how to test for sugars in water. Kindly, how is this done?
Sugars in water?
Yes, Joseph Okello.
So that panel sounds very, the composition is already somebody I know, I think. But I don't think you can be able to test sugars in water. When you look at our rule book,
yes,
the quality parameters are the inorganic contaminants. We have the quality parameters. We have organic contaminants, the PAHs and the rest. And then we have the radioactive, like uranium.
Yes.
But sugars, sucrose, nini, you don't expect sugar to be in water, otherwise ungekuwa unakunywa maji unasikia iko na
kasukari
fulani.
Also there is no sawa Joseph, I hope umejua hiyo, and I hope that panel that had put you to task to answer them that if you can be able to test sugars in water, uliwapatia an answer similar to what Tabitha has given us. So thank you so much. Kiptum Ruto, I see your question. He's saying following keenly. And Oliza, what is the difference between quality assurance and quality control?
Okay.
is there a difference?
Yes, there's a difference. Quality assurance is from the whole process. For example, if you look at testing, kutoka sample control all the way to product itoke, see the process input, output.
Yes.
So that whole process needs to be assured that it is doing the right thing.
Okay.
That's why the labs are accredited to ISO 17025. Quality control is on the spot. Na test moisture kwa hii maji.
Yes.
Hii moisture ni kweli. I need to have a control sample to ensure that hata hii bread yako moisture ni hii. I am confident that juu nimefanya something extra to ensure that it meets that.
So that is quality control.
That is quality control on the spot. Hapo. Sample control. Wame receive sample.
Yes.
Ni hii ndio customer request at that point.
Okay.
But now point quality control, quality assurance is the whole process.
Is the whole process. Sawa. Kiptum Ruto, I hope now you have an answer, and thank you so much for watching. Joseph Amesema, thank you for the feedback. That was my reasoning, and I thought I was out of order. So thank you so much for watching. This is Ask KEBS. The hashtag is Ask KEBS. Keep those questions coming. We are talking about the process of testing. We have Tabitha Oro in this conversation. She's breaking it down. I feel like after this episode we are going to have me uni recruit kukua hata mimi ninaweza pima kama kila kitu iko kwa procedure. Si hata mimi ninaweza fuata hiyo procedure.
Lakini sasa hujasoma science.
There she got me. Sawa. So that is the whole field of testing. We have more. I see more questions coming in. Okay. I'm so happy that watu wako hapa na wako na maswali. Hata nimeona ingine hapa ambayo imeulizwa about mafuta huwa inapimwa nini. I want you to hold that answer. We will be coming back with that answer, so that let's take a very short break. We will be back. This is Ask KEBS. My name is Dennis, and I'm happy.
My name is Hilary Nzao James. I work at Kenya Bureau of Standards, Lake Region. I am a senior laboratory technician. I was employed in May 2009 as a lab attendant. As a young man, came to KEBS. Then after coming to KEBS, after my induction, I was posted to Lake Region as a lab attendant. So I came to Lake Region in 1st June 2009. A typical day in KEBS is very interesting as a sample control officer, because you get to know the parameters that are tested. Having the knowledge from the labs, I know these are the parameters to be tested here, these are parameters to be tested elsewhere. Because normally in a typical day, I'll receive samples from a walk-in customer. A customer walks in, he wants some parameters to be tested. So I have interest, why do you want these parameters to be tested? And what do you want to know from these parameters? So I get to interact with the customers. Another one is we have research samples that come to our office that are going to the research and development lab from institutions around here, like Maseno University. They bring samples here. Then we take for research and development. We have standard samples. These are samples that are brought for standard development. When they want to develop a standard, we have the samples are collected around here, then we send to Nairobi for analysis to develop a certain standard. We have also from market surveillance. They do surveillance around Kisumu, then they bring samples here. Then we have quality control samples, which are brought for certification of the product. So we normally submit the samples to Nairobi. And we also have our accredited labs up here. So we give some to the labs. So the sample, the parameters that are not be able to be done in our labs, we normally subcontract to our sister labs in Nairobi and Mombasa, and also in Eldoret. Sample control, this is it acts as a link between the lab and the customer. So I'm the go between the customer and the lab. So any sample that is coming, I have to make sure that the integrity of that sample is maintained in order for the outcome of the results to be perfect. At Sample Control Center, your sample will be received and you will be given guidance on how that sample will be tested and how long it will take to test a certain sample before you get the final results. So normally the results are normally issued. We can issue the results physically by printing you the test report after testing, or we can send you the results via mail after payment is made. The experience that turns to me, I can remember of today, is when I was employed and I was attached to Lake Region lab, that is the chemistry lab. The officers who are employed as analysts, they used to use some foil-like plates to do moisture. Anytime you want to pick that sample in a foil-like dish, then you get burnt on your hand. So we had marks. You could see somebody with a black mark on the both hands. That one you knew this guy works in the lab, to be specific chemistry lab. But now things have changed because we have now modern equipment. It has some shelves where you can put the sample, even to the far end, without even using the togs. Makes me proud to be KEBS. Is one thing that KEBS is a good employer, because from where I started small, and I can see myself growing. Since I started, is not the way I am today. My name is Hilary Nzao James, and I'm proudly KEBS.
And that is how actually sample control works. Thank you so much for watching. Umeona sasa sample control. That was called Hilary Nzao. He works at Kenya Bureau of Standards Kisumu office. He was telling us about sample control. When our guest was telling us about there was a number, all those things, that's exactly what is done at Sample Control Center. Hilary Nzao works at our Sample Control Center in the Kisumu office. This is Ask KEBS. My name is Dennis. Thank you so much for watching. A big shout out to everyone who is watching this episode. Kama unatuwatch pale kwa YouTube, kama unatuwatch kwa Facebook, on X, that is formerly called Twitter. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow KEBS on all social media platforms. We are across all social media platforms. Also on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok. Tuko kila mahali, and our website is www.kebs.org. Tabitha, ulikuwa karibu tutoke, unasema unataka kutoka. Hakuna kutoka. Hapa tuna maswali zinafuatana. Kuna hii swali ya Nesto. I wanted to probably tell Nesto how this whole process works. Nesto, there is a mark that there is on products. Every product you see in the market has a mark. And that mark has been issued to confirm that the results that were done at the labs zilipita. Ndio maana unaona hiyo mark hapo. Na sisi tunaweka nambari. It's called a permit number. Pale chini inaanza na SM hash. And you can be able to verify using the KEBS app or even using your SMS platform using our short code 20023. Na ukiona product iko na shida, unajua unaweza nunua product pale upate iko na shida, make sure you report to us. We have a toll-free line at 1545. 1545 is our toll-free number. So we are back.
Yes.
Karibu.
Asante sana.
Mafuta. Wameniambia ni ya kupika na pia ya gari. Wewe mna test nini? What is there in those are they the same? kwanza? Kwa sababu
Mafuta ya
wanasemanga kuna crude. You know, it
Na-
starts from crude. Ya kupika inatokanga tu hapo.
ya kupika inatoka hapo. Wacha tuongelele hiyo yenye iko kwa swali.
So tuendelee.
Okay, so in Kenya,
Yes.
we receive 4 types of petroleum products.
Yes.
We have what we call the PMS, the petroleum product. We have jet fuel. We have diesel, and then we have kerosene. So for those petroleum products, we have our rule book,
Our standard. Kunayo pia.
Kunayo, kuna Kenya standard ya hiyo. And the quality parameter zimekuwa identified kwa hiyo standard. So for example, for these petroleum products, we need to check the water content. Unajua maji na mafuta hazipelekani vizuri.
Hawapatani kama maji na mafuta.
Kumbe hapo ndio ilitoka hiyo saying. Tuko na distillation and many other parameters zenye zimelistiwa hapo kwa standard. So of course, in addition to now those octane numbers zenye zinafanywa tu kwa hiyo petroleum product,
yes.
But not on the other jet fuels and the diesel.
So octane, when you talk about octane, what are you saying? What is all this?
Okay, so the octane number assists the car in running. It does not knock. You need to ensure that your pump can continue pumping. Your gari iendelee kusonga, utaki ikisimama ama ikiende kijump. Siku ni literally. Unasikia ni kama unatabika, unasikia unaruka.
Yes.
So your fuel should be of good quality to ensure a smooth ride.
So it doesn't keep knocking.
Yes. It doesn't spoil your engine as well. Because if it does not meet the minimum requirement of the standard, it means that sasa gari itaanza kuruka and consequently itakuharibia engine.
So there's the higher octane, then the better.
Not really. As per the rule book.
Yes.
There's a minimum requirement.
Or the rule book has defined.
Yes. It has defined the motor octane number at a minimum of I think 83. We have one at 93 for the RON. The RON, there's RON and MON in the standard, the rotor octane number. But what people wamekuwa kipima, which is the pump octane number, has not been defined in the standard.
The PON.
The PON.
Yes.
So your rule book yetu just set guideline. So rule book yetu iko na RON, iko na MON, na all the other distillation and the water quality parameters.
Okay, I hope yule alikuwa ameuliza swali ya mafuta kupata jibu. Okay, so I'm seeing anaitwa Christian Madzon. Christian Madzon is saying, I'm privileged to have been here for my attachment at the Lake region. Thanks to Mr. Simiyu and the rest of the laboratory. Love you guys and God bless you. Huyu amesema alikuwa huku kumbe. Sawa. Madzon, thank you, and I hope you have, wherever you are today, you're still continuing to uphold standards and following rule books and procedures into everything you do, because I think that is what guides quality.
Our day-to-day life, yes.
Now you have talked about mafuta. Tuliongelelea mkate. I want you to probably now give us different products that you have ever come across and examples of what do you test in them. Okay.
I've had the opportunity to work in both fields, material testing and microbiology, not chemistry.
Yes.
So for material testing, it's all about performance testing. For example, when you go for a conference, for example, for a meeting, what do you see on the table? Maji, apart from maji.
Kitamba.
Kuna kalamu, kitamba, meza yenyewe. Hizo zote tunaangalia pia. So for example, hiyo meza, can it be able to withhold, ama hii kiti yenye tumekalia nayo Dennis.
Yes.
Umekalia kiti.
Yes.
How sure you kikalia itakuangusha?
Sijui nilinunua nikaambiwa
iko poa, ama ulinunua design. So hata kiti pia iko na standard.
There's a standard for us.
Yes, there's a standard for a chair. And we have so many chairs. I think we need to visit our civil laboratories. Kuna wakati wanakonga na furniture zimepangwa hapo nyuma, so that you can understand hii kiti inafaa ku break at what threshold, because hata mtu mwenye ako 100 kgs anafaa kukaa kwa hii kiti na asianguke na asivunje.
So
because akiangusha, weight is a factor. When you're designing a chair, it needs to accommodate all sizes.
So Okay, I'm just trying to think through when I'm going to buy a furniture pale kwa my fundi anaitangwa Omondi who makes a very nice furniture. Weight is a factor for him or should be a factor for him.
Yes, anafaa kutengeneza kiti yake so that it meets the standard. That's why we are having the rule book. Hii rule book si furniture palace peke yake or the big players.
Yeah.
Ni kila mtu anafaa kuifuata. Otherwise tutakuwa na watu wamekalia viti. What happens? You know those pranks we used to play in school, unavuruta kiti hivi. Si mtu anavunjika mgongo.
Yeah.
So you don't want your product to be a cause of such.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doors, is there something for that?
Doors, there's a standard for doors yenye inaweza kufunga na kufungika vizuri. A door has the panel itself. We have the knobs hapo na key yenyewe. See, when nasemanga the key needs to fit the hole.
Yes.
Na ukiturn inafaa kuturn vizuri na fit pia the other side on the panel, because now we have the frame where the door should fit in well. Otherwise ukitengeneza mlango kubwa, frame ndogo.
What you want to say there's even standards that so when it comes to testing now at the material side, which now I think is where it will be going, they will do all those kind of tests.
Yes, they check on the dimensions, they check on the strength and many other parameters. Nguo wanahesabu. Imagine kuna baridi, so unataka kusikia warm.
Yes.
You cannot wear this when it is cold. So the thread size, your number of threads zikiwa mingi, see the warmer you feel. No matter unapata there are some clothes which are heavier than others. So back to our rule book. Inakwambia for such a fabric or for such a tire inafaa kuwa na this number of threads.
That is interesting. Even clothes have a standard for them.
Yes.
Okay. Talk about things like paper. The things like even that tissue.
Yes, like even this tissue.
Yeah.
We test it. Hautaki kukwenda kuitumia.
Yes.
And it is a source of contamination.
Oh yeah.
How strong is it? Is it so weak that hata ukirarua?
Yeah.
Umerarua umetoka hata mkono wako kiosho feel ni kama ni safi. You know this thing is used for example now to wipe a very sensitive area. Yeah, so tissue paper on a standard.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around such a factor that there's what has been defined about a tissue or even that roll and how it should be.
Yes.
And when it comes to the labs, the analyst who is testing has to follow a certain rule book from that.
To ensure, So, for example, the physical test, nguvu bado, how strong it is. Let me compare tissue to, for example, printing paper.
Yes.
Printing paper inapita through rollers of a printer.
Yes.
So it needs to be stronger. Otherwise, ukitumia hii kwa printer, what do you expect?
Itakatikia huko ndani. That's why. Okay. So, even the density of it is a factor.
Even the density may be a factor. But mostly we test the strength, the pH. Hautaki unapanguza mkono na inakuchoma.
pH kwa
tissue.
Okay. All that is defined in the standard.
All that is defined in the standard.
Wow. I also didn't know all these things are in standards. So the people at the labs test to those very specific things that sometimes mimi mwenyewe singefikiria kuna pH.
Kuna pH, yes.
Okay.
But standard, of course, standard is developed by experts.
Yes.
Then they give us at least of quality parameters. You know, there's quality, there's safety, then there are the contaminants. Yeah.
Okay,
and the levels.
Those ones are material.
Yeah.
Turudi kwa hizi vitu kama za chakula hivi. What probably do you check of in say tea leaves? Mnaangalia nini? Vitu kama hizo majani.
Majani.
Yes.
Majani ni I think ash, moisture, total chloride. Unajua sasa hiyo si field yangu sana.
Yes.
But depending on what is in the standard, it can be tested in the food lab.
Okay, I'm seeing a question here. It's asking, please mention how sample preparation is done, especially for soft drinks.
Sasa watu wangu wako online, wanaweza jibu?
Yes. Soft drinks. We'll put a pin to that question as well. Mr. Okello will be coming back to that answer as well. So yes, easy product zote kuna defining rule book about them that says how it should be tested.
Yes.
And you will not go outside any of those to give a result. Okay,
when you look at the standard, they give you the best practice. But for example, kama moisture imekwambia utumie oven,
Yes.
it does not stop you from using a moisture meter. As long as the conditions in the oven can be achieved by the moisture meter. Unajua technology pia is advancing.
Yes.
We used to do a lot of titration in the past. We used to do a lot of, unajua hata ile kupipette, watu walikuwa na pipette na mdomo. Unajua shule unavuruta. Unavuruta na mdomo.
Akwambia ina change color.
Ina change color, pH, ile litmus paper.
Yes.
But now you see we are having probes. Unatumia inakuwa accurate to the decimal.
Wow. Amazing.
So it is the same. So pia standards, pia some of the tests when the method also is evolving, they evolve with it. So sometimes unapata maybe standard evolve, lakini bado we unatumia maybe an older technique, but procedure, unajua procedure is from A to Z, and maybe only B where the equipment is, for example, they may change, but everything else is the same.
Now, these samples, do you like, say, for example, ume destroy? How do you handle the sample after it has been tested?
Oh, after testing.
Yes.
So we have a disposal procedure. So for depending on the disposal procedure,
yes,
there are those ones which are safe. You can dispose, and then the external person can come for it.
Yes.
There are those ones which are dangerous. So also those ones is the way you make it safe before now you put it in the bin.
Yes.
Or drain it, for example, if it's a liquid.
Yes.
And depending on also the NEMA guidelines. Yeah. So, but most of the samples, there is a procedure for disposal. Yes. And each of the labs now, this is now lab specific, have defined their method of disposal.
Okay.
Because vile mimi nitadispose maji, you know, me now na deal na maji.
Yes.
Maji ni rahisi, so maji when I dispose, it's easy to dispose
drained.
Water as compared to, for example, bags of cement.
Yeah.
You get? Yeah. So the person, the subject matter expert will define how that product should be disposed in an environmentally friendly manner.
That's amazing. I hope mnasoma. Mi leo niko class. I've always been, somebody recently told me when I was having a conversation with them that way after hizi as KEBS utakuwa expert kwa kila kitu. But it's the knowledge that you're giving us that really is good. I'm seeing more and more comments. Naona Rayons hapa pia is watching. He's saying very nice and informative episode from Tabitha. Thank you so much. So this episode is actually to bring you to a point where you can be able to understand KEBS processes better. So that anytime ukiwa pale nje and you're thinking of starting a product, starting manufacturing ama bottling water, you know that your water will be tested at our labs after following a defined procedure through the sample control all the way to the labs. And the people at the lab who will be testing will not be treating your water as water A because I have seen water B, because they will be treating them as samples which have sample numbers, and the results you'll be getting will be impartial. That's amazing.
Kila mtu ako sawa.
Kila mtu ameequaliziwa.
Because kwa lab it is equality. The way we treat sample A is the same way we treat sample B mpaka Z, sample N.
Wow. That's amazing. Kuna kitu ingine yote yenye wewe unajua about samples na testing yenye unaona hizi maswali kabla hatujaanza kujibu, especially hiyo ya verification, because I want to actually show you guys how to do it from the KEBS app. Before we get to that aspect of verification, I know you have more processes that you would want to probably tell us about testing. Kitu ambayo sisi watu wa nyumbani, unajua leo umetuambia mpaka tissue iko na pH.
Yes, I was taking you through your journey, your daily journey.
Yes.
So tumefika, unakuja kazini, nimekwambia the air that you breathe inakuwa monitored, tunaangalia particles. Unajua kuna watu who sneeze a lot.
Yes.
It's an allergic reaction to the particles in the
air.
In the air. So the particulate matter, how safe is it? The standard, of course, clean. Even in the testing environment, there's some tests you cannot do in a dust-filled room or kwenye iko na lint mingi. So there are prescriptions for a clean room, which also needs to be tested and followed. Hata when you're the combustion gases, sometimes unapatanga ukitembea hivi unapata moshi ya black nini, hata hizo zinakuwa tested. So because they need to meet a certain threshold so that they do not pollute the environment. Remember, we want our sustainability. Watoto wetu wakuja wapate something for the future and even their children. We've talked about the built environment. Now sasa wacha turudi nyumbani, unarudi kulala.
Yes.
Ukilala, unalalia mattress, unalala. Of course, we talked about the bed.
Yes.
Kuna nguo. So all those things, yeah,
They
are
go
also
through testing.
So it is an invisible, critical stage
Yes.
that is required for most of our products.
Amazing. Naona Jane akisema ambia Tabitha asanti. We didn't know that such people exist in the country and they are doing things behind the scenes. Kumbe mko huku nyuma.
Tuko.
So the products that are in the supermarkets, every time you see them and you can confirm after I've shown you how to verify that they have met a certain standard, they are courtesy of the people that are behind the scenes, people like Tabitha and the team behind the testing fields.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you,
this
David.
is Ask KEBS. The hashtag is Ask KEBS. Maswali ya testing, keep them coming. We shall keep sending them to the testing experts so that we can answer them better. And in case after this episode you're watching alafu unauliza swali, usiogope. Tupigie simu. We have a toll-free number which is 1545. 1545 is the number to call, and that number you can also call to verify products. Uko kwa supermarket, uko kwa duka, uko kwa soko, you're buying something, you want to confirm if it is meeting the standards or it has been certified by Kenya Bureau of Standards. You can be able to do that just by calling us using that number 1545, or you can download the KEBS app. So if you go to Google Play Store right now using your Android phone, you can be able to download the KEBS app. If you download the KEBS app, get your product. Locate the KEBS logo on that product. Locate the KEBS mark. Chini ya hiyo mark, there is a number. If it has a number starting with SM hash, ama DM hash, ama FM hash, those are our permit numbers, and you can be able to verify them just by putting that number in the app. Na itakwambia one, the manufacturer of the product, the standard, the rule book that you talked about, ni gani yenye ilitumiwa kuitest, and whether or not it has been approved and when it is going to be needing a new resampling. These permits expire every 2 years,
Yes.
or they have a defined expiry period. So that is how you can be able to do so. Also, you can be able to verify products using our short code, which is 20023. Hiyo short code, SM hash 12345. For example, unaituma kwa SMS 20023. Itakupatia jibu kukuambia kampuni ni gani, brand ni gani, ilitumiwa standard gani kuicertify, na pia ina expire lini. That permit ina expire lini. That is Kenya Bureau of Standards. My name is Dennis. Thank you so much, Tabitha, for being so kind enough to sit with us. Unajua si mara mingi utakaa na experts wakuambie vile kazi wanafanya inakuanga.
Thank you for considering to invite us as well.
Yes.
Tumeenjoy session.
Umeenjoy session. Okelo Joseph nani anasema bado akona maswali mengine, and I want to encourage him to keep calling and keep sending those comments to us. My name is Dennis. This is Ask KEBS. I'm so happy that you have made time to watch this episode all the way to this point. Keep following our platforms. Keep asking us all these questions. Next episode we'll also be having a very interesting one. So every 2 weeks of the month we'll be having an episode. Ya leo ilikuwa ni ya testing. The next one we will be about our standards development. So leo the next one tunaenda kuongelelea hizo rule books. Zinakuanga aje. So kama uko na maswali kuhusu hizo rule books, make sure umetuuliza. So Tabitha, what is your parting shot?
My parting shot?
Yes.
My parting shot is at least use products that have the quality mark. That way you are guaranteed that zimepitia wapi?
KEBS.
That is my mantra.
Your mantra.
Yeah, because najua kuna products hapo nje.
Yes.
Maybe they're taking their time to come, or maybe they're still establishing.
Yes.
But it is good to use a product that at least has an S mark. And please don't fear KEBS. We are friendly people. Na testing has very competent and well-equipped laboratories.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's usituogope. When you see people at your shop or at the supermarket, they're coming to check for products, or even when they're coming to visit your farm for a site inspection, usiwaogope. We will not be there to police you. We are there to help you make your processes, the products that you're making, to meet the standards, so that then we can have a safe country. Ama namna gani? My name is Dennis. This is Ask KEBS. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave you with now another very interesting episode about how we do testing about alcohol products.
Yes, alcoholic beverages.
Yes, alcoholic beverages. So enjoy this episode, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
My name is Luvonga Caleb. I've been working for Kenya Bureau of Standards since 2004. This is a place I call home. I wake up every morning excited to come to work because I know that I am going to solve a problem for the country. I am going to help the industry to grow. So I started as a laboratory analyst 3 and then grown through the scales at Kenya Bureau of Standards up to where I am right now. I'm the acting manager, Organic Laboratory. And Organic Laboratory actually has 3 sections. So the first section is a petroleum laboratory, and then there's a wet chemistry laboratory. We do soaps, we do cosmetic stuff, and then we also have chromatography. So chromatography is where we are right now. This is the laboratory where we look at food preservative, we analyze alcoholic beverages, look at things like pesticide residues, fatty acid, hydrocarbon profile. Actually, one of the things that stood out for me is the journey of analysis of alcoholic beverages. Prior to 2015, we used to have quite a number of deaths in the country, and that was worrying. What happened is that we went now, I put on my research cap, I went and did a lot of literature review, and then I came across a chemical called dinatonium benzoate. Dinatonium benzoate is a chemical, it's very bitter. In fact, the commercial name is called Bitrex. It is the most bitter chemical known to man. So we discovered that we could actually add dinatonium benzoate to methanol. And why were we adding dinatonium benzoate to methanol? Because in the western part of the country, this is where we have the sugar producing companies. And these sugar producing companies would also prepare ethanol as a byproduct and methanol also as a byproduct. So they would sell ethanol and methanol, which would be carried in tankers to be brought to Nairobi and or to other parts of the country for industrial use, and also for use in the production of potable spirits or alcoholic beverages. So there was no clear way of telling the difference between ethanol and methanol just by looking at it. Because even if I gave it to you, there's no clear way of telling that. So the only way you can be able to tell the difference is if you have a gas chromatograph. So at that particular time, the manufacturers of alcoholic beverages did not have gas chromatographs. So what they would do is sometimes they would get ethanol or methanol, thinking that it is ethanol, and then they would go and mix with water in the right proportions and probably put flavors and whatever, and then they would present it to clients as an alcoholic beverage. And you know, when you're taking alcohol, it is usually ethanol in water, not methanol in water. So when they give the clients the alcoholic beverage, it's actually methanol in water. So this is what was causing blindness, and this is what was causing deaths amongst the consumers. So in that particular case, so we identified methanol as the problem. We had to find a way of making methanol inaccessible, or even if it's used intentionally or unintentionally, the consumer would not be able to drink it. So we decided to denature it. We decided to denature it using that chemical, dinatonium benzoate, which is extremely bitter. Even if it's given the denatured methanol is accidentally available, and you try to make an alcoholic beverage out of it, you cannot actually swallow it. So that was a deterrent to ensure that nobody uses methanol in a production of alcoholic beverage. I would like to tell all the customers or stakeholders that Kenya Bureau of Standards is doing everything it can to ensure that the products that are put in the market are safe for human consumption. My name is Luvonga Caleb, and I'm proudly KEBS.